spent like 4 hours planning this first.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 4. Today we're talking about weddings.
Booyah.
Yeah. We're going to specifically talk about like how to get your first wedding and proper things to know about weddings as a creative, especially as a photographer, videographer, right? Because we have a lot of people have questions about that. But before we start, this is my jam. I do weddings. So I am the owner of Summit and Solace, Timeless Wedding Films. And I work mostly out in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, doing the Weston weddings. I've been doing some more luxurious weddings. I wouldn't say I'm a luxury wedding videographer, but I've been doing a lot of higher end weddings recently. But I started from the bottom. Dan has done some weddings too. Tell us real quick about your 6.
Yeah, I've done a few. The highest one I booked to date so far was $5,000 a couple months back. I've done 3, maybe 4 with you at this point in Jackson.
Yes.
So yeah, I've done a lot of weddings too, and I've been in the industry for about 3 years. So
yeah, weddings are a big creative thing, right? So if you're a creator, especially photographer, videographer, you need to spend some time in the wedding world. Many of you already want to, but if you're just turned your hobby into a business, listen up. We're going to talk about weddings because wherever you are, people are getting married and they need you. So let's dive in. Without further ado, let's get started. Why would you want to do weddings? Let's talk. Money. Money. They pay pretty well. It's very stressful. Weddings are very stressful. We'll talk about that in a minute, but that's a large part of why the money can be so big. But what else we had, Dan? What other things would you go into weddings for?
Well, for me, one of them is we kind of called this good vibes. Just trying to say there's a lot of crap that goes on in the world. Yeah. You got bills to pay, stuff going on, and it's nice to kind of for 6 to 8 hours, 6 to 10 hours. To just walk up to a wedding, be like, I just have to worry on this wedding. I get to be around love, good vibes.
Yeah, it's also just a creative outlet for your passion, right? So if you love photography, guess what? This is a great way to make money on this and express yourself.
Well, it also gives you more meaning in life, and you know you're making an impact in someone else's life.
Absolutely. But there's all kinds of creatives that would be in the wedding world. You obviously have the obvious ones are photographers, videographers, DJs, planners, florists. But you got the less common ones too, like musicians and artists.
Oh yeah.
I have seen several musicians and lots of artists out there. Really anyone, like live bands too. Anyone can make money in the industry if you find a way.
Banjo player.
But yeah, just because you're a banjo player, don't rule yourself out of the wedding world, right? But yeah, getting started. So the value is different here. If you're going to serve as a creative, if you're going to serve a business, value is perceived in bottom line, usually money. How's it different, Dan? How are weddings different?
Value-wise?
Yeah.
Well, they're different because with other genres of content, right? You're normally trying to sell a product or something. Here you're trying to Here you're trying to sell an experience or an emotion. Yeah. Something that's long term. It's not just a one-off.
Yeah. So the way you're going to present yourself is going to be different. You're not going to say, "Well, this will make you X amount of results." You're going to play to their emotions. Yeah. So
it's emotionally driven.
It is very emotionally driven. And before you start at weddings, let's just talk about foundations for just a minute. And then we're going to really dive into this, okay? You got to have your systems. You got to have contracts. You got to have your website set up. You got to have the necessary gear. Even if you're renting it, you have to have the gear, right? So if you don't have those things set up from the beginning, you can still do weddings. But again, it's going to be tough because on the back end, you're going to hurt. So have an Instagram, have a website. It's at least after your first couple weddings. We'll talk more about that later, but yeah. Also, guys, when you start making money from this, you need to know you need to have a way to track the money. If you're not a business owner, this is going to be a foreign topic to you. If you are, you already know. But quantification really just means understanding the numbers in a nutshell. Let's talk about how to dive in. Let's say you're a photographer.
Okay.
And you have not shot a wedding yet.
Ooh.
What do you do, Dan?
I would say the very first step, there's 2 approaches you can take. You can either do the approach where you just kind of go for it, spaghetti on the wall. Or if you want to accelerate quickly your skills and your business, you do what we call shadowing in the industry. This is not the same as second shooting, which we'll clarify in a moment. But shadowing is where you're going to go up and it's almost always, in fact, I'd probably even argue always you do it for free.
Yeah.
You're watching them and how they do the wedding.
Yeah. Most importantly, you're not stepping on the toes. But the biggest thing in the wedding world is, and this is the case in any industry, is you don't know what you don't know. So if you maybe have been a guest at a wedding, you haven't been a photographer or a vendor at a wedding, you're in for a wild ride.
Dude, wow.
And shadowing is a big way for you to see some of those things before you even step in. It's a safe way to get in without causing too much trouble.
Or experiencing any of the consequences.
And here's the best part too, guys. If you, again, we're using the photographer method. Photographer is just an example. This applies for any vendor. But if you want to get started as a photographer, you go in shadow. Even if you've done photography work in the past, offer to go second shoot. Just make sure they know that you haven't done this before. That differs from second shooting.
Yes.
And again, second shooting is a term for photographers, videographers. But if you're a second shooter, you have a responsibility. Yep. As a shadower, you should still, if you're a photographer, bring your camera. If you're a DJ, bring your headphones.
Yeah.
Show up and be ready. Don't just walk around staring at the person the whole day. But if you're a second shooter, you have responsibilities.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so then a little more pressure on you. But it's still a fraction of the pressure that the primary vendor has, right? But it's going to be a big deal, especially from the beginning. If you do that, it's going to supercharge you going down the road. You can do without it. I recommend you do it with shadowing and then maybe second shooting.
Right.
But that leads us to, what do you do when you get to a wedding, whether you're a shadower, second shooter, or primary vendor? What's the proper etiquette? I see too many people make this mistake. What's the etiquette at a wedding?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
What's the Dan, what is the proper etiquette at a wedding?
So the proper etiquette, guys, you got to realize is you are there to work. You are not their friend, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't be friendly. That doesn't mean you can't communicate beforehand and be friendly. But when you're there at the wedding, you are not networking. You're not sampling the food. You're not talking to guests.
Yeah.
You are there to work. You are not anyone's friend.
Yeah. And again, be friendly. You're not a friend. You can argue with me on this if you want. Some of you are like, no, I am their friend. No, you're a professional. You can be their friend afterwards. You can be friendly, but you're a professional. They're hiring you because of your professionalism, not because you're a friend. So bite me, but that's the truth.
Yeah, well, it is the hard truth. Now, I do want to throw in 5 second here.
Sure.
If they invite you to do the floor or invite you to sample food or something, then you can. But if they don't invite you, you have a job to do.
And remember, guys, this is the biggest day of their lives.
Yeah.
That's why weddings are it's a big deal, right? It's a big deal because they are hoping to never do this day again.
Yeah.
And if you screw it up,
you need to realize you are of the event. You are not in the event.
Yes, you are there, but not there. So, but just be nice. Be nice to other people. Be nice at the event. Dress for success.
Oh, yeah.
Early on, guys, if you shoot your first wedding, maybe it's going to be a really cheap wedding, a small but a small wedding that's going to be not have a high budget. Maybe it's out on a campground. My first wedding was at a campground.
Low expectations.
People were wearing jeans and I wore jeans and a polo. That's the vibe of the room. But now when I go to events, if I'm not wearing, assuming I'm not wearing a full suit and tie, I'm at least wearing black.
Yeah.
Right? Because my job is not to stand out. My job is to kind of blend in.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's about them.
Fly on the wall.
So absolutely.
Also make sure, this is also, I think, a very important one we need to talk about etiquette-wise, guys, is there are times where you're going to have slight toe stepping, right? Your photo or videographer is going to step in front of you on a shot or two.
Yeah. 1
or 2 shots is fine. If it's 3, 4, 5 shots, you can talk to him a little bit about it. But don't talk about other vendors. Don't say anything. Doesn't matter if they get in 5, 10. I had one photographer, won't say who, we both know him. It was back when I was doing a contracting wedding. They got in front of every single shot. They stood right in front of me during the ceremony and ruined the ceremony shot. I didn't get the whole time in front of the ceremony.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about it. Don't talk about vendors.
Yeah. You talk afterwards because we want the bride to have a good experience. There's 3 things the bride needs. The bride needs a good experience working with you. They need a good end product. What they're hiring you for needs to be good. And again, there's levels on that. And number 3 is to not hear about any crap that happens on their wedding. They don't want to know. The best planners out there too are the ones that like act as shields.
Oh my gosh.
The bride never even knows anything went wrong. And it's your job to be a part of that too. So we're all tying this. There's a lot of information, guys. Maybe we'll do a second episode on this. We're just trying to, if you haven't experienced weddings, we're trying to wrap your head around this, okay?
We know it's a fire hydrant, but you're better now than on the day.
We could go into extreme detail about weddings. We won't because it's going to blow your mind. But, it be kind of just, when you're working with other vendors, be nice. You're not the most important person in the room. They hired them too. And I would say too is, when you get into these weddings, let's say that you have done a shadow. Let's say you have second shot, or you showed up to be an associate there. Let's say you get your first gig, or your second gig, or third gig. At this point, you have to understand, if you want to keep getting gigs, there's a really important thing here. You need to learn how to network. We'll talk specifically about getting your first gig here in a second, but I think it's important to say that from the beginning, if you're a photographer, you need to learn to get along with videographers. If you're a DJ, you need to learn to get along with a videographer too. You need to learn to get along with everyone. If you're a planner, you're in charge of the day. Everyone needs to work well.
Everyone kneels to you.
Yeah. We bow to you. You have the hardest job. You do. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. Let's talk about really getting in. So we've talked about how to, like, what you do. Let's talk about when and what you do to get in. Let's say, Dan, that you're a photographer. You just started getting good at your craft. You've done some portraits, and now you're like, hey, you know what? I want to get into a wedding. Let's say you go approach Melissa, for just a name. Okay. She shoots weddings.
Cool.
She shoots some decently nice weddings. You see her work and you love it. What's your plan of action? What are you going to do? How are you going to get in with her?
Am I brand new, or have I shadowed?
Let's say you haven't shadowed a wedding yet.
I haven't even shadowed.
You haven't even shadowed yet.
Okay. First things first, like you said, research. I've gone through. I've seen her socials. I've seen sort of her style. I made sure that you've listened to the clever creator on what not to do at a wedding. Exactly. That's why we brought that up before we talked about proper wedding etiquette. Okay, so you know those things. Yeah. So I know a little bit about her now. So now I can go to her and say, hey, Melissa, I'm going to, you can cold email. I would probably say just cold call. If cold call is not an option, then cold email. Or comment on one of her videos and say, hey, Melissa, I really love your work. I'm brand new to the industry. I haven't even shouted yet. I'm looking to get my first experience with my first wedding. Yeah. I understand if you would want to say no because you have a standard for your product, but is there a chance that I could come shadow you for 1 or 2 weddings? Maybe even give you some behind the scenes photos of you doing your actual day of work. Because they'll love having marketing material. And
that's different from what a lot of people do is, hey, Melissa, I love your work. Can I come shoot with you? Maybe she'll say yes. But if someone says that to me, I'm going to say, okay, who are you? What's your level of work? I have a bunch of follow-up questions. So Dan clarified where he's at, and he also offered to give her some free value. So that's a big deal. Even if you don't have to say, I can give you BTS, which is behind the scenes footage, right? Yeah. You don't have to do that, but it does go a long ways. Just offering it, say, hey, I'm happy to share with whatever I can with you. Offer value, they'll give it back. Great. Melissa gets back to you, Dan. She says, yes. Yeah, come on, shoot me. How do you dress?
All right, so I made the mistake the very first wedding. I just did casual. She's probably not going to bring you back if you dress casual. She has said yes to you. She's putting her business and her couple, her bride, on the line. So I'm going to put on the nicest I have. If I don't have a black shirt or dress, I'm going to go buy one. Yeah. And I'm going to wear a nice sort of button-down shirt or equivalent to a dress and a tie. I'm going to look as formal as I can. Even if this is a hoedown Western wedding, I'm going to look, dress all black and casual, formal, and then just clean shaven, look the part and everything.
And this could be too, if you really don't know what to do, you could ask Melissa, hey, what should I wear? Yes. Remember, first wedding, so you know. But okay, you get out there.
Dress to impress.
You get to the wedding, Dan, and you do this, you work with her, you're shadowing. Mm-hmm. You take pictures alongside her. What do you do when you get those? Well, when you get home, remember you clarify too, like, hey, I'm associate shooting, like, or excuse me, I'm shadowing, almost second shooting. Yeah. What do you do with the work when you get home with it?
Well, first off, you're going to back it up. So, you should be backing up your work. Yeah. I lost a year's worth of weddings on a hard drive that got damaged that way. But after you've backed it up and you've made 2 backups, so you have 3 copies, you're going to, depending on if you're in school, whatever, work it out. So within 24 to 48 hours, within 1 to 2 days, you have gone through and you've edited all of it. You've got it set up. And then you're sending it to her. Don't charge or anything. Just say, hey, here's a copy of my work. I recognize that I'm just starting out. You may not use any of these, but here are these if you want to use. Thank you. And then thank you for the opportunity. I'd love to come back if you'd have me.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't say I want to come back. Don't say I need to, or you're going to. Just say, here's, I thank you for your time. Thanks for bringing me on. Here's my value I provided for you.
And don't be offended if they don't use your work.
Yeah. or if they don't bring you back.
Yeah. It's normal. Really, honestly, that's a normal part of you. You were just lucky to be brought on in the first place.
You just have to remember one line. They took the risk on you.
Yeah.
Be grateful for it.
So moving forward.
Okay.
Let's say, Dan, you worked with Melissa. Maybe she brought you back. Maybe she didn't. But you've done a couple of these now. Maybe you've even second shot once.
Sweet.
Now let's say you're like, I want to get my own wedding now. There's a few different methods about this, right? Mm-hmm. Dan could... and again, we're talking about we're using photographers as an example. This works for most vendors.
Videos, DJs, whatever.
It's going to be different, right? For everyone, at least a little bit. Let's say he wants to do it himself. A couple different methods. Dan could go and find a friend who's getting married who wasn't planning on having a photographer and say, hey, I'll do this for free. If you're a florist, by the way, you'd say, I do it at cost because you have a lot of cost, right?
Yeah, flowers and cakes.
Yeah, cakes and food. So any of those things, or if you have a high amount of cost to produce that, you say, I'll do it at cost. Don't say I'll do it for free. Anyways, he could say, hey, I've got this friend. I've got this friend, Danny, who's getting married. Anyways, now I want to go and shoot. I want to shoot your wedding. He tells her, I haven't done a wedding, but I'd like to do yours. She says yes. He goes out. That's a great way to do it. Option 2. He posts on Facebook.
Yeah, I went this route.
It says, I've shadowed and I've second shot for weddings. I'm ready to, I would like to do my own. I'm going to do it. And he does it again for free. I would like to do a free wedding. He is selective because he probably gets a ton of inquiries. And you do it that way, right? Option number 3, I would say, is you ask for a referral from another vendor who knows that one of their clients can't afford a photographer or whatever, Yeah.
But that is after the wedding. I'm not asking for referrals or networking during the wedding. No. This is most I've done during the wedding is like, let's say I'm with the DJ. You have 3 minutes with the DJ. Yeah. You give him a card, say, hey, we'll talk after the wedding.
So we go through this. We make Daniel put up this facade here for a minute and Melissa, but let's break away from that for a minute here. Okay. So moving forward, let's say he's filmed he's filmed or shot his first wedding, or he's DJ'd his first wedding, whatever. There's a key pivotal moment here. This is where a lot of creators don't see the wedding world again. It's either because they didn't like it or because they don't know how to keep getting work, right? So after your first couple, when you do for free, you're starting to charge, how do you get to the people who will pay you? Because a lot of people post on Facebook and said, I can do this. Check this out. We're a husband and wife team. We do XYZ. We start at $500. Guess what? Those posts, nobody cares. We love you. We know who you are. That is a very low level thing to do. Maybe someone catches you. Maybe.
That's what I did. After my weddings with you, I put out and said, hey, I'm doing weddings for free. Crickets for months. Nobody would talk to me. No bride would talk to me.
And it's because you're not marketing. It's not because you're not good. It's because you're not marketing. A lot of people give up in this section, by the way, when this happens, because it happens to almost everyone.
Oh, I see a lot of
it. It didn't happen to me because I had a different story. I started differently, but this is common.
But this is common in our area too. I see this a lot on our area.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about getting more work. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can go the traditional SEO route. right? So you like our search engine optimization. Oh, this person does weddings in this area when they search. And I would include in this, you can be part of the Wedding Wire and the Knot, or Style Me Pretty. Just lists of vendors, right?
Yeah.
They're going to price shop you, my opinion. It's something to grow out of quickly. Yeah. But if you want to get started after your first couple freebies, go get an account there. It's going to cost you. If you have the money, do it. If not, then we'll talk about other ways in a minute, but that's a great way.
Yeah.
Another good way is, yes, being present on social media. Not just posting on social media saying, hey guys, I do weddings. Here's the price. No one cares. Maybe, I'm not saying you can't get away from that, but you have to do more than that.
Yeah.
When I say social media, I'm talking like you're posting your work. You're building a presence. You start an Instagram. You try to get people to share your work.
And you're doing it regularly. This isn't one post a month.
Yeah. I sucked at this for so long. I'm amazed I succeeded without it, but it's rare. But then here's the biggest one. So there's those ones. Here's the biggest one.
Well, there's also one more.
What?
You can do a contractor work as well. I feel like you could go contractor work at first, a lot of cheap weddings, get a ton though to get your experience onto you, then go solo, get to Wedding Wire or some service. But then we get to this level.
So here's the biggest thing you can do, okay? Networking. In the wedding world, networking is the way to get business. It is key. And I'll tell you what, photographers kind of rule the world in the early stages because everyone hires a photographer. So if you're any other vendor, you're getting in with photographers. If there's planners, if you can get in with planners, we'll talk about them in a minute. If photographers are the queens of the world, of the wedding world, planners are the kings.
Yeah.
Networking is key, guys. You need referral work. You need to have relationships. You build relationships by just talking to them. Like, say, message planners, be like, hey, message photographers, like, hey, I love your work. I would love to work with you soon. It doesn't have to be complicated. Don't overcomplicate it. Like, if they really don't want to work with you, guess what? They won't. It doesn't matter. Nothing you say is going to change that. But just a simple message. Or when you're at a wedding, network with everyone. Don't be crazy about networking, right? Like, don't let it obstruct your actual job. But say, like, photographer, hey, I'm so excited to work with you. Or the planner, hey, I'm so excited. This is a pleasure to work with you. I've been following you for a long time.
And be genuine.
Yeah.
They already know that you won't work out of them. They already know you want money. Be genuine. They can tell.
But if you do that, you will get returning work as long as your work that you produce so far is okay.
And this is why you don't talk about other vendors.
When you do start getting
them, don't talk about vendors.
All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about the dirty side of weddings, right? Because there's the fun side. You go out and you have fun, you party, you're filming or you're shooting or you're DJing, you're running the party.
The dark side.
Let's talk about the dark side for a second. This is something that causes people to not want to do weddings. And it's the ominous cloud of stress management.
Stress.
Well, that was creepy.
Sorry.
No. Okay, so there are a lot of people who can't take the stress of a wedding. Weddings are stressful, guys. They're so stressful.
Pure chaos.
They are organized chaos.
Yeah.
But they're stressful, okay? This is where things get difficult. You need to be able to manage your stress. The more you can manage your stress, the better you'll be off at weddings. It's okay. You're going to freak out at first. That's okay. But let me tell you something. When I go to shoot a wedding, because I was a videographer, I am freaking out all the time. The whole time. My inside my brain's going, ah! While the rest of me is like, oh yeah, we're totally cool. When the bride's like, oh, how are we doing? When she's nervous, I'm like, oh, we're fine, honey. Don't worry about it. Inside I'm like freaking out. Just like, I don't know if I have time to do this, and this. It's about keeping yourself low and cool. It's about learning to deal with the stress.
Well, and that's what separates the pros from the beginners.
Yeah.
Couples can see. Well, there's a number of factors, but one of the big ones is, again, they're emotionally driven. So if they can see that you can handle stress and you can pivot on a dime's notice when something sporadic happens, they're like, this guy's worth the investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But just understand that stress is really, really, really big in this industry, and you need to be able to handle it. If you can't handle it, that's fine. Now you know. Don't come back. Or come back in a couple of years, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to do weddings, but okay. I want to talk, we've mostly talking about how to get into weddings. When you get into weddings, you're probably starting in the budget realm, okay? But I want to explain something here. There's a lot further you can go, okay? So there's different categories. I've labeled them in 5 categories. Other people will label them different, okay? And I'm not going to put numbers on these, but you've got budget weddings. BYU, Idaho. If you're familiar with Rexburg, Idaho, BYUI, I do. They have a culture of spending no money. They have a culture of spending $0 if they can help it. That's like the ultimate goal.
And we're not knocking you on that.
Yeah.
We understand your students and everything. But
yeah, you got to do what you got to do. I get it. However, budget weddings, people who either getting married quick or just don't have a lot of money to spend, that's okay. Just understand that you're not going to make a lot of money from these weddings, and that's probably where you're going to start. They don't have a lot of money. They'll post, they'll be like, looking for a videographer, max $600.
My favorite, looking for a reasonable photographer.
Reasonable means budget. And it's okay. I recommend you grow out of it quickly.
Yeah.
Because you can't feed your family on that. We're going to do a whole quantification episode. I'm just now deciding this.
Let's do it.
You guys, we'll talk. We'll talk. We talk about our calculating system. We'll talk about that more in a minute too. But you can't feed your family on $500 weddings over and over again.
Even if without a family,
you're going to run out of steam. I struggled with lower paying brides early on, and there's a time and a place for it. You need to outgrow it. Then there's a standard market. Moving up. You can afford to live off this, but you're not going to be wealthy. You're going to be very, very poor. But yeah, more features. Then you move up to premium. Big step between standard and premium. Premium weddings is going to start having luxury items in there, but they're not going to be luxury weddings. They look luxury, but they're not. But florals are going to get a big boost. DJ is going to get a big boost. Catering is usually going to get a big boost here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and your mindset starts to change too. You start. It's not every bride or couple, but you start to see they're less looking at you as a purchase, and they're looking at you more as an investment.
Then there's number 4, luxury.
Yeah.
This is kind of early level luxury, but still luxury things they're spending things. Luxury is not necessary. Okay, luxury literally in its definition is it is an unnecessary item that is just above and beyond. Okay. You're going to start seeing things like huge dresses on trains and massive floral budgets and things like that. More is going to be expected of you in ways that we'll explain here in a little while. But then there's extreme luxury, okay?
Man.
When Jeff Bezos gets married, that is the top. That's not even extreme luxury at that point. That's like omega luxury,
Just
right?
renting out Venice.
But like celebrities are in this range, right? Or NFL players, things like that.
CEOs.
But the point is, don't get caught up. I'm not saying this to like scare you with the ominous side of like how much there is to know, but really it's just because it's just because you got $2,000 for a wedding doesn't mean you cap yourself at that. And you kind of, if you want to make this full-time income which I'm not saying you do, but if you do, you got to at least get to like the premium levels.
Yeah.
You can't live off these little weddings anymore. You just can't. And so understanding that there is a way to do it. It's possible. It's possible to make a living off of this.
And I can attest that because I'm right in between that right now. I'm kind of bouncing back between standard and premium, and I'm trying to lock in premium.
Let's talk about money real quick, okay?
Favorite subject.
Weddings are fun. Before we talk about money, I guess, let's talk about the other reason why we listed you would do a wedding. Because you're having fun. Because it's a creative outlet. Because it gives you meaning in life. Guys, you manage that stress. Oh my gosh. You go shoot a wedding or you DJ a wedding, like there's so much satisfaction.
Well, especially when you get
fun.
When you get into the premium level and the luxuries, right? It's stressful under the budget and standard. When you get to a certain level, there is still stress, but it's more of we all kind of know how to kind of play within each other's realm at that point, and it becomes so much more fun. Yeah,
absolutely. But you don't get obsessed with it, but money's important. There's 4 things that go into how much money you can make when you price yourself like this, okay? They are as follows. Your experience in what you do. Your experience in your craft. How long have you been doing this? Your experience to work with. So how are you to work? Are you social? Are you a total dweeb? Do you hate people? Might not be the best place for you to be. But your ability to manage the social stuff of it. Your ability to manage stress. And finally, your end product, okay? All those 4 things are what allow you to charge more and more for a wedding. And certain weddings are going to require an emphasis in other things, in certain amounts of those things. But In the beginning, you're going to suck at all of them. That's okay. As you start getting better, you're going to be able to charge more and more and more. And you will find that end product is not the end all be all.
Yep.
People think, oh my gosh, my photos are the best of the best of the best. Or my DJing experience, which is the end product for DJ, is the best. It doesn't mean that that's not it. There's more to it, right? But money. I recognize, let me just be real with you for a second. I recognize you need money to live. Dan and I know that, okay? I mean, you need money as a creative. Starving artists shouldn't exist because they should know how to get their money. That being said, guys, your first few weddings, one or two, I would say, need to be free.
At least.
If you're one of those categories, you're a florist or you're a DJ, florist, catering, cake, where you have material cost, charge your cost, and then be free. I say this because it's going to help you. If you can make money your first time, I get it, but you need it to be free at first. After that, though, I mean, frick, you can start making as much money as you are able to make, as much money as people can pay you. And I would say you up your pricing when those four things go up. When the value of your services go, not just the quality of your end product, but when the overall value of your services go up, that's when you start charging more and more and more.
Yeah.
I've reached a point in my business where I've charged $10,000 for a wedding at this point. That's out of the norm for me, right? Typically I charge like, $6,000, $7,000. That's pretty average for me. Sometimes I'll do 8 or 9. Sometimes I'll do 5. And this excludes elopements, but weddings. But that's not the norm for me. But I'll tell you what, you can get there. I promise you can get there. No one told me I could get there for a little while. Eventually someone told me that, and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. But let's move into the financial side for a second. What happens when you get paid?
So you're going to get paid. You're going to get that $2,000 paycheck. We'll just go down to standard, right? Yeah. You get $2,000. There is a thing called revenue and profit. Revenue's real term is what was it?
Gross revenue.
Gross revenue. This is like the full paycheck. This is the $2,000.
Yeah.
Profit is what you're actually taking home with you, not the full $2,000.
And this is where we're going to get technical, okay? We've talked about the other parts of weddings. We need to talk about the business because this flouts so many creators. We're not business owners usually. We're usually creators first. But you have to have a system. If that $2,000 you get paid goes straight into your personal funds and you're just like, oh, I'll work it out in the back end, you will lose that money. I promise it will disappear into nothingness. So where's that money going? To me, it's going into a business account, okay? And you're going to lose you are going to lose. If you don't record where that money's going, you're going to lose it. So it goes into a business account and not a personal account, okay? You have a couple of costs. You have two different types of costs here. We'll bring in a financial person who will clarify this. We're not financial advisors, okay?
This is not legal advice.
Not legal advice, but here's what I'm going to say. There's two different types of costs in my eyes, right? There is direct cost and there is overhead cost. Direct cost hits you only when you do business, okay? You film a wedding. Let's say you film a wedding. You're a videographer like us. Let's say you bring a second shooter out. You have to travel to the location. You have to pay an editor to do part of the editing or whatever. Those are direct costs. You accrue them because you did business. Then there's overhead costs. If you're a videographer, you have subscriptions. You have music subscriptions. You have Adobe subscriptions. You have
CRM
website hold. You have all these different things, right? You got a bunch of different things that hit you, whether or not you actually do business. That's overhead. You have to keep in mind that the $2,000 is not just profit. You're going to have maybe $500 of expenses, direct cost expenses or more. Then you're going to have overhead costs divided by the amount of weddings that you're going to do, about the amount of individual gigs you're going to take on. But we've talked about the good side. We've talked about the dirty side of weddings. Let's wrap this up.
Again, we don't want to scare you guys away from weddings. They're awesome. Love them. You guys will hope you enjoy them. Just remember that there are some key things that we've talked about throughout this episode you need to have set up or able to do during weddings. So, so that was today's episode. The next episode, guys, is going to be my story. So I'm super excited. Tennyson, why don't you close us out?
Okay, guys. We'll see you next time.